Wars, because those are like several seasons long.
Mm-hmm.
That's just time I don't think anybody wants to dedicate all at once.
Well, I heard that. Well, the podcast is live now, so let me. Oh no, I'm getting my. Oh, here we go. Let me turn myself down. There we go. So, all right, there it is. So, all right, now introduce ourselves once again. This is this is Craig Harris. I'm your loyal niggerator to It's a Nice Podcast. Shout out to Miss Deviant Monica, as she has decided to come by after she stood us up earlier.
I didn't mean to stand you up. I was waiting and I didn't get a notification. Okay.
Well, it came through it comes through the Twitter feed to your
Yeah,
to your.
I didn't get a notification. I don't have Twitter notifications on my pad. I only have it on my phone, which is plugged in on my bed. Just chilling.
Ah, okay. So you're doing this through your phone.
No, I'm doing it through my iPad.
Oh, okay. Well, it's got a good camera on there. What iPad did you have?
I have a first generation Pro.
Oh, okay. Do you like it?
I love this thing to death.
Right.
It's how I read my comics. It's how I watch some of my shows. It's how I watch all of my trailers. It's amazeballs.
All righty. Well, what comics are we reading right now? Well, first things first, say hello to the people in the chat that may show up now or later, like the candy.
Okay, hi peoples. I'm Monica. Handle at Deviant Monica.
All righty.
But, I have no idea what else you want me to say.
Oh, that's fine. That was perfect right there. That was perfect. All right. So let's start out with how long have you been a major comic book reader? Or did you just kind of get started? Did you stumble into it? Did somebody introduce you to it?
I've been a heavy comic book reader for about 8 years now. But I didn't choose my main line until like 3 years ago, which is X-Men, obviously. Right. So I'm a big old Marvel fan.
Okay.
Before that, I was heavily into anime. I had a lot of manga. And then, before that, I was a tween and I was too cool for anything.
Right. I understand. Now, what exactly is manga? That's not like mango or anything like that. So, what is manga?
Manga is Japanese comics. They're usually read instead of right to left, they're read the opposite. They're just fantastic. That's where you get a lot of the beautiful art that you see in anime.
Oh, okay.
So, if you're a fan of, like, if you ever watched Sailor Moon is a cartoon version of the Sailor Moon manga, and you'll see the difference in the illustrations. It has longer, smoother lines, elongated features, and things like that.
Okay, well, you said you read a lot of X-Men, so who is your favorite X-Men character?
Oh, that's a tough one.
All right, who are your favorite 3?
That's still a tough one.
Okay, we'll go to 5. Last it. That's it. 5.
Okay. So my number one X-Men character, because he's not an X-Man, is Quentin Quire. And that's because he just doesn't give an F.
Okay.
After him, I would have to do Storm, then Rogue, young Jean Grey. So I don't like old Jean Grey from the originals, but I like the time displaced Jean Grey.
Okay. So you like the first class one? Is that what you're talking about? That young or okay?
On that, like within the last couple years, what happened was when Scott was going pretty much crazy and he was starting a war. Beast went back in time, took the original X-Men, so that would have been young Scott Summers, it would have been Jean Grey, Iceman, which is Bobby, and Hank McCoy, which is Beast before he got blue and furry and more cat-like.
Right.
So I like that time display Gene more than I like the original Gene.
Okay, I got you.
And then after that, that puts me at 3. I like modern Kitty Pryde after she was in Excalibur.
Right, yeah.
And then the fifth one, I would probably go with Laura Kinney, the new Wolverine.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. All righty. Well, I can understand that. So that's pretty eclectic. So you're more into the X-Men, not the Spider-Man or the Avengers type thing.
No, I don't. I mean, it's not that I don't like the Avengers. The Avengers are cool. And also, the Avengers originally was a team where they were like, okay, this person is not in this book anymore, so let's just put him in the Avengers. It'll be all right.
Yeah, make it work.
Yeah, we'll make it work. And then I'm not a fan of the Fantastic Four. I'm really not. Even though I like Franklin Richards, I think a baby who just has like reality warping abilities is just a hilarious and awful idea. And I like that they ran with it. To think what other Marvel like. I like the Runaways. Runaways are cool, man.
Yeah, now do you like the TV show that's on?
I like the first season.
Yeah.
I really like the first season. I'm not so sure about what's coming up next.
Yeah.
They're really doing the departure from the comics. Like, when I read the comics, that whole first season, it would have gone not completely different, but very, very much differently.
That is true.
And I mean, they didn't even. Yeah, they didn't do a lot of stuff that needed to happen, and it was weird, but it worked for TV. Like I understand why it happened for TV. I don't get, and I get that, but yeah, the comics were better. Trying to think what else I like about Runaways. I like so I'm not a big run person, so I don't do the long runs. But in Civil War, there was a Runaways section, and there was a Young Avengers section. They were really good. Those were really good. I mean, Civil War itself, I can take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But those sections were really good, and it had Cloak and Dagger in it, being Cloak and Dagger, which is great because in their own books they're not that awesome, but when they're ever a feature in somebody else's book, they're just amazing.
Yeah, who knows? They may be in this movie coming up in games. Let's talk about that real fast. I know it feels weird. The tickets went on sale about a week and a half ago. It seems like a million years ago with all the news that's happened with the Disney streaming and things like that. First things first, what did you see the Disney streaming service, and do you think that'll be something you try?
I am going to stream the crud out of Disney service. I mean, their price point is amazing. So far, the list of lineup they have looks pretty good. I hope they go a different direction with some of their lineup. But that being said, with just the announcement, it looks like it's going to be worth that. What is it? $7.99 or $6.99?
Yeah,
it's worth it.
Yeah. I told people what I saw. If that's the launch, if that's what they're going to have at launch, I'm done with Netflix. I mean, I don't need Netflix anymore. But I got to get rid of either Prime. If I'm going to get this, I'll probably get rid of Prime because I don't know what else to get on Prime.
Yeah.
So
I don't have my own Prime. I use someone else's. So so I don't know, but I'd probably get rid of Stars because I stream Stars. And that's because of the American Gods series they have on.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Neil Gaiman fan, so.
Yeah, I've heard that is good. Okay. But with Avengers Endgame, first things first, are you an opening weekend person? Or are you just gonna go see it during the week? And then how many times do you think you'll see it? And then finally, how much do you think it'll make opening weekend? I'm at 272. So,
Oh,
but what do you think?
if I'm doing opening weekend with all the mess that's been going around surrounding it,
Mhm.
I would put it between 250 and 3.
Okay, well, now Infinity War did 250 or like 251 or something like that. So do you think more than 250, more than Infinity War, or you think right
Yeah,
around the same? Okay.
more Infinity War. I almost guarantee that just because of how people reacted to Infinity War.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I know for a fact that I wasn't the only one who left that theater in tears. So,
Really?
yeah. So, I do know a lot of people are going to go, even if they weren't a fan of Infinity Wars, they're going to go because they're going to want closure.
Yeah.
They're going to want to know what happened. So,
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, of course I'm going 2 times, so I'll be there Friday and Saturday. So how
I'm
about you? Did you or your club, or are you going with Mr. Monica? Is he dragging you to the theater? Are you dragging him, or did you get
no,
tickets yet, or
no.
what's going
I'm definitely going to do after opening weekend.
on? Mm-hmm.
Partially because I usually work
Yeah.
at least one day on the weekend. So after I see this movie, I don't know if I'm going to be emotionally stable enough to go to work. And also, it's so much easier to go on a Wednesday afternoon.
That is true. That I agree with that. I'm starting to the theater that's closest to where I live and by the mall. I'm looking like, yeah, I could be there Wednesday too. It's but it doesn't have reserved seating. So, I don't want to walk in there and then have a shitty seat. So, but I
Well,
may go see it Wednesday depending on how it is. Because the movie could suck. I mean, let's just be honest, it may be trash for
yeah,
all I know.
I doubt
So,
it. I heavily doubt it. I
mhm.
mean, even at its worst, Marvel has been better than most.
That's true. No, you're right. But that I didn't like that Incredible Hulk movie at all. But I was just like, oh my god, I didn't even go to the theater to see that because I'm like, well, and that movie was so bad or did so bad that they almost didn't do Thor, or they didn't do. They were going to do Thor next, and they ended up doing Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Just to prove that they still had the gumption. I'm like, oh, I was the Iron Man 2. So yeah, I was there in that theater on a Sunday. But no, all right, so you think in between, you think closer, or you think closer to 250 or closer to 300?
It'll be closer to 3.
Okay, all right. I think that's yeah, damn, yeah. It's gonna make some money. I just and what do you think of it? Selling tickets 5 times faster than Infinity War. Let's see if I can find that article.
I mean, I get it. I
Uh-huh.
really do, especially with, like I said before, the way Infinity War ended. It was a cliffhanger, and it was one of those things that would make people angry, and either they're going to go immediately to get some closure, or they're going to wait
Mm-hmm.
until it comes out and they can watch Infinity War and then Endgame at the same time. I mean,
Yeah.
the same thing happened with me and Lord of the Rings. Me and my mom went to go see Lord of the Rings, the first
Mm-hmm.
one. We almost got kicked out of the theater at the end because we were so mad about how it ended. I mean, they were just walking. And we're like, where are they walking to? How are they going to get there? Why is everybody split up? Am I supposed to know these things? How do you end a movie like this? This is some BS. And we never saw Lord of the Rings in the theater again. We waited until all 3 were done and we got
Mm-hmm.
the DVDs.
Right. Well, I mean, I can say that the first Lord of the Rings, that the very end, when he said, "I'm glad I'm taking this journey with you," and
Mm-hmm.
he said, "Yeah, I feel the same way." That's exactly, I believe, what's in the book. The last page of the book says that, and yeah, they
That's
had to
all
walk.
well and
Yeah.
good, but when Lord of the Rings movie came out, I hadn't read it.
Right. Uh huh.
So I didn't know that what to expect with this movie. I went in blind and I left angry.
Well, what did you end up thinking of that? The rest of that series since you got it on? You bought it. You and your mom got it on DVD.
Okay, so a lot of people say one was the best.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that, but I think a lot of that is just residual anger from my first viewing.
Right, I understand that. Yeah.
I loved Two Towers.
Oh, I did too. Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
Like every time Two Towers comes on, I have to call somebody and be like, "Hey, Two Towers is on in about an hour and a half. This tree is going to grab somebody and wail on people with them." It's like 3 seconds of the movie, but it's the greatest 3 seconds ever. I mean, he just picks that guy up and he's just like whop boom, whop boom, and then they release the river and it's amazing.
Yeah, true.
And then I like the beginning and middle of 3, but the end I kind of just want to be like, okay, I'm done with you. You don't need to sing. There's no need to sing.
Well, did he get married at the end?
Yeah, he got married. Everyone was there, and then he sang the song of his people and all this other junk. And I was just like, I get why they did it. I just didn't care.
Oh, okay. See, I like 3 in a sense that everybody got the closure that they said they wanted to get. And they married the end of the Hobbit series. They married that perfectly with the first one, because in the first Lord of the Rings, when Gandalf goes up to that shack, shack, you hear him say, "Go away, I don't want any visitors, not from anybody." And he says, "Well, how about from an old friend?" You see that from Gandalf's perspective in Lord of the Rings, but at the end of the Hobbit, you see it from the other guy. He's sitting there in his room, and he's like, he just gotten back. He's like, "I don't want any visitors, not from anybody." Well, not even from an old friend. I said, wow. I was in the theater. I was like, wow, that was perfect.
Yeah, it was good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like the Hobbit movies.
Yeah,
they could have been so much more. Like, the best thing about those movies is Benedict Cumberbatch as a dragon.
Oh, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. No argument from the kid on that one.
But I do like the reflections they had in it. Like, they did a very good job of having The Hobbit be a reflection and also a prequel of Lord of the Rings. It's like you could tell where like each part was reflected of the other series, and you're like, yeah, this makes perfect sense. But on that note, it was also annoying as hell.
I understand that. It had a lot of CGI. You could just tell it was just kind of like, I was just
good CGI. It was just, we need to get this done while the Lord of the Rings train is still on the track.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I did think I thought the first one was good. I thought the CGI with Smaug was phenomenal. I thought that was good CGI. Never going through that woods and getting attacked by those spiders and stuff like that. I thought that was cool. But I thought the third one it did kind of go side. It went left, as the kids like to say. If something going left means it didn't go well. So I've learned that. I'm learning my millennial talk. So yeah.
I don't know about it going left. I just know that I got a third of the way into the second movie and I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I know what happens. I know how this ends. I'm done. And then I think I came back a couple of months later and watched the last 30 minutes of the third movie where he got back home and they were like, "Prove who you are." And he showed them the contract that he signed, and that didn't make sense to me from a legal standpoint, but whatever. I guess it was enough for them. Yeah,
I understand what you're saying. Okay. What do you think's going to happen in Avengers Endgame? What are you expecting to see? You said you were you were emotionally wrecked after Infinity War. So what are you expecting to see, and what would you like to see this movie be?
Okay, so I didn't read the comics that the series is based on. Mostly because it was just before I was heavily into comics, and I'm catching up on what I like.
Mm-hmm.
But with the emotional turmoil of Endgame, I want to see how they are able to resurrect everybody, but keep them off their respective teams.
I
So
see.
like,
Okay. Yeah.
so things like Wanda Maximoff, she's on Avengers at the
Mm-hmm.
point when this happens. And she's just starting her relationship with Vision. I want to see how that grows and if it becomes something, because after Endgame, Vision had his own series for a minute.
Yeah.
And I mean, then after that, there was M Day, and she plays a big part of that. And I just want to see how they're going to get to that next step where fans who know even just the basic outline of the story are able to reconcile it with what's going on in the movie, because they've been really good with that so far.
Mm-hmm.
And but I mean, this is a huge task because they just brought together literally everybody in their universe and then killed off 2/3 of them. So
Yeah. So you're more interested on how they reverse things, and now do you think if and when they come back, and when they're coming back, we've seen
yeah, you
previews
know
of,
they're coming back.
yeah. So all right. So do you think when they come back, do you think that Earth has changed to the point where you'll start seeing quote unquote mutations? Because that's one of the theories.
I don't even know that that even matters with the way they've set up everything at this point.
Mm-hmm.
They've already done very, very subtle hints of superpowered beings outside of the norm. So
Right.
yes, Peter Parker was bit by a spider, and that transformed him into Spider-Man. And it's only a small jump to a mutation that causes superpowers in a select group of people.
Yeah, they did it for Wanda Maximoff and
Yeah.
Pedro. They also did that for Captain Marvel. I know you haven't seen it yet. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but there's a way that she gets her power too. So I won't say how, but it's just
Yeah. Don't ruin it for me.
yeah. Well, so
There's
yeah.
a good chance I'm going tomorrow to see it. So just don't do that.
Oh no. Yeah, I'm not, and I may pull the double feature movie tavern. I talked to Doug and the manager, and he said that they may set up a in-game Captain Marvel thing, but he doesn't know how they're going to do it because the tickets are already sold for in-game. And he said so he doesn't know how they're going to do it. He said it may just be a midnight feature they put together real quick and say, all right, Captain Marvel at 7 o'clock, and then Avengers Endgame after that for a double feature. Maybe he said they don't know. He just said like maybe an $18 ticket or something like that is what they're looking at. So he said he'll know next week. So I might do that double feature. Might do that double feature, but
Yeah,
that's a lot of movie. So
I mean, I am somebody who will sit there for the long movie runs with everything lined up in a
yeah. Wow. I mean, that was amazing that you all did that. That movie run that you did. I could do 6 hours. That'd be basically Captain Marvel with previews, and and you would leave the theater in between that and Avengers starting, because he did tell me that the Avengers movie with the 3 hour runtime and the previews, he said you're looking at 3 hours and 18 minutes right now because there's going to be anywhere from 4 to 7 previews, because Disney's going to have The Lion King on there, Aladdin on there, possibly Frozen Part 2 on there, and then Spider-Man is going to be on there. Then maybe the Joker trailer may be on there. That's what he was just saying. He was like, "Are you kidding me?" Captain Marvel, they may replay her trailer. So he was just telling me that. Plus, they cut like a 4-minute mini Marvel movie just to kind of talking to the actors and stuff like that. So but yeah, so you would sit through a double feature like that, or would you do an Infinity War and then Endgame back to back? Would you do something
yeah,
like that? Okay.
yeah, I would do that.
Okay.
Honestly, I would do all the Avengers back to back as long as they didn't go through each individual movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, don't get me wrong, I am a huge Marvel fan, but 56 hours. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was straight garbage. I saw that. I'm like, okay, look, I couldn't do that. I mean, there's some things I do want to do, but I decided the large popcorn layer and a large drink for the Avengers movie. That's all I'm going to do because I was jealous when I was a little kid of seeing the bigger kids getting the pot, and I can never get it. So finally, I can go down there and get what I want. So
You know what? I have the same feels about the 20-piece nuggets at McDonald's way back in the day.
well, when they used to taste good, I could eat them.
Oh yeah, no, this is definitely when I was in like elementary school. So this was what, 25 years ago?
Yeah, that was I understand. It was a hump. It was a long time ago. Yeah. So yeah. So with English. So with all right. Well, we'll move on to all right. Now, who do you think will die? I did not do death predictions earlier, but ladies first. Who do you think will die?
Huh. Well, given that it's a comic book movie, I don't think anybody's going to die, but
Uh-huh.
I do think a lot of people are going to disappear and walk into the mist like Fury did for half a second.
Oh, Sookie. Okay.
Yeah, so the people who are going to walk away into the mist for half a second is
Hmm.
definitely going to be Captain America.
Okay.
There is definitely going to be what's her name? Wanda. She's
Hmm.
gonna walk away into the mist, probably with Vision.
Hmm. So you
Tony.
think Vision's coming back, even though Thanos ripped the stone out of his head?
Yeah, no, I think Vision's coming back. Vision is he's very much ingrained in the Avengers story.
Hmm. True.
That if they don't bring him back in some way, shape, or form, it's just gonna be awkward.
Now, do you think he's still there because he is an AI on the computer? They could always go get his AI, couldn't
Yeah,
they?
and that's another thing. Since he is just an I mean, I
Mhm.
don't mean just an AI,
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
but since he is an AI, they got his fundamentals wherever they want them. I mean,
Right.
granted, in comic book world, Tony Stark didn't make him, but still,
Hmm.
he's there. He has a backup file. Tony Stark has a backup file of a backup file.
Yeah.
So he's there. He might not be. He still might. He might go back to Jarvis rather than Vision,
Yeah.
but he's gonna be there.
Yeah. That's a lot of that's a theory that when Stark does get back, um, he kind of walks away, because he takes the blame for Peter Parker being gone. And he takes that pretty hard, and then he gets his mojo going, and he goes to Wakanda and helps rebuild uh, the Jarvis AI with their technology. So we
Yeah,
have to wait and see. It's just a theory, but we have to wait and see.
I mean, I'm not even gonna go into the whole Peter Parker disappearing thing because
Yeah.
that's just I don't understand why it was him. I don't get it. It was I feel like it was a poor. I mean, cinematically, it was a good decision. I get
Hmm.
why they did it because it was a heavy scene,
Yeah.
the heavy scene, and it was so well done.
Hmm.
But continuity wise, I'm like, that's just dumb.
Yeah. True. I don't disagree with it. So do you think start I mean, I think the people whose contracts are up. I mean, I've said that to people. I said, look, this is not inside baseball. There's people whose contracts aren't renewed. So Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans, they didn't their contracts are up. They're not signed anymore. So
Though Chris Helmsworth with Thor, I
yeah.
really hope they go the comic book road and bring in uh, a Jane Foster, maybe not Natalie Portman, but a Jane
Yeah.
Foster, and have a female Thor because that would be cool as f.
Well, yeah, that's true. I'm not here to deny that. I think they could do. I think with the next Guardians movie, they can have a Thor, because I don't know how much Hemsworth is asking for. There's the rumor is Downey is getting over 52 million. Plus he gets a new car from Audi, and because that's part of his contract, he gets the newest Audi car that you'll see in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Chris Evans is getting like 21 million for the movie.
Really, Iron Man's making more than Captain America.
Yeah, well, he's the one that set the template
Got it.
for the entire series. Is that they're still following Favreau and Downey's template in the MCU. So
Okay.
but what's up, Jamal Adams? Shout out to hey, thank you for a second. Shout out to the chat. Thank you all for being here. Just like hit that like button. I'm on with Deviant Monica, who instead of coming at 7, she came at 9 o'clock. So
And also, I also want to point out, you asked me what time was good, and I said 8 or 9-ish.
I thought you said 7 or 8 or 8ish. Okay, my bad, my
Yeah,
fault.
I definitely set up my iPad for this at 8, and I was
Mhm.
just sitting here waiting. I have no idea what was supposed to happen.
Yeah, because after the one podcast, I literally rolled right into this one after RGT. Okay, so but shout out to Jamal Adams and Orkin, the Alchemist, and I think there's people from all around. I think maybe some people from around the world that are listening here. Got 5 to 7 listeners. That's not bad on a Friday night. There's all kind of things happening with the Manosphere's got stuff going on. There's major podcasting going on tonight. Everybody's talking about Star Wars. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Now, I think some people do die. I just don't know. I can't. I'm rolling with the ones that. That's a good one though. They just kind of fade away. They go off into the mist. I think there's a wedding between Tony and Pepper, and then at that wedding we'll see. Man, now that I think about it, I don't know. You know who I would? Here's who I want to see. I want to see Fishburne's character and with Ghost because I think Ghost is fine. I mean that girl playing her, it should be with me. Here's all I can say. So
No, because I fully believe they're gonna go do the whole Miss thing, because one of the things with comic books, and it's really hard to translate into comic book movies, is the fact that people die, but they're not dead. I mean, come on, Jean Grey has died like what, 3 times?
yeah, I want to say about 2 or 3 times.
Flippin' Logan has died a couple of times before this final death. And
Yeah.
even then, he still had Old Man Logan from an alternate universe and all this other mess. So that's one of those things that translating into movies is going to be really difficult. And the easiest way around it is to not have them die, just to have them walk away and then come back when needed.
Yeah, I still think
tiring.
I still think there'll be cameos. I think Evans could probably get away with some cameos, and so could Evans because they're going more cosmic. But I don't know what to do after this. And a friend of mine made a good point this earlier. He tweeted me. He said, "Look, Craig, with the Avengers, with this saga ending here, the 21, 22 movie saga ending, plus the Star Wars saga ending, where's Disney's next big tentpole franchise? Oh, well, you know what? They're padding their coffers. It makes sense now why they've got Frozen coming out and the Genie movie coming out, Aladdin, and all these movies are coming out, Lion King. They're going to pad their pockets this year. I think they're going to make anywhere from $8 to $12 billion and pad the coffers and then just kind of ride it out.
Yeah, you don't want to talk to me about these quote unquote live action Disney remakes.
That's Jon Favreau. Blame Jon Favreau. Okay?
I'm so mad at them. Like I honestly, I am going to refuse to see The Lion King until it comes out on like DVD or something. Just
Right.
because I have so many hard feels for the original movie. Like, is Whoopi gonna be voicing a hyena? Oh, wait a minute, they misrepresented hyenas, but that's okay. Is there going to be a video game that is impossible to beat?
Probably. Probably on that one. I got to ask a good question though.
Like, Can JTT still do a young Simba? I don't think so. I haven't
Yeah.
seen him in like 15 years, so I don't even know if he's alive.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I'm interested in seeing how that's going to roll out. That looks good, and Dumbo is not doing too well.
Yeah,
So,
I have hard feelings on Dumbo. I got scared at the cartoon of Dumbo. I don't want to see a live action one.
Oh, okay,
Like that
yeah.
has nothing to do about like pride and love. That's straight up fear.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of a big deal. An elephant's so big but light enough to fly. So that's an odd combination. But it is Dumbo, the flying elephant. So that makes sense.
The whole thing where he got drunk and was blowing bubbles and all that stuff, that did not sit well with little Monica.
It scars you.
Pretty much.
All right, let's go ahead and move into the Star Wars thing when we close it out. All right, so the Star Wars trailer. Where were you? Did you work today, or were you off today?
I was off today.
All right, so were you able to watch it live, or did you?
No, I waited and got it on. I got one on YouTube and one on a site, so I saw it on two different sites. They were the same trailer, but one was just better quality.
Yeah, that first one I thought was good quality, and that second one was garbage. I don't know what they were doing,
Yeah,
so,
and it was heavily disappointing because it was literally the same trailer. I was like, how do you mess up something that's already been done? It's not even like you had to create it or cut it up. You just had to repeat what happened, and they still messed it up. Like that's just lazy.
Yeah. I don't know what they were doing. There was some kind of conversion that they were doing. I don't know. All right. So, what did you think of the trailer from the beginning, middle, and end? So, starting off, it shows Rey in the desert, breathing heavy, centering herself, and then that quick turn. I think they did. I thought was fantastic. That was a great shot of her being centered, and then the ship coming after her. And what do you think about that? About the way that worked?
That was so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like you're sitting there and you're watching her, and it's kind of basic Rey from the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
So you're seeing her, she's back in the sand, and you're like, oh, really? She went back? I mean, there was a big chunk of the first movie where Finn is just like, why does everybody want to go back here?
Yeah, that's true. Well, they didn't say what planet she was on.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But it has the same it has the same ecosystem, it looks like.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah. I agree.
And then it grows really well because then the lightsaber comes and then she's like jogging to running, and then she does that flip and you see the ship, and it's just it was well done.
Yeah. Yeah, and you saw whose lightsaber she had, right?
Yeah, I did.
So it's been rebuilt.
Yeah. No, let's be honest. It's been rebuilt like at least 2 other times.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, no, you're right. You're right. I just wonder. See, I wonder where she went and got it. Because remember, she gave it to Luke in The Last Jedi, and he just threw it over his shoulder.
That is very true. I mean, maybe she's good at climbing. We've seen that. Maybe she just crawled down and got it herself and was like, yay.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. I don't disagree with you. So, what did you think about the part where it showed Lando in the Millennium Falcon? First time since 1983 that he was in the cockpit.
You know, I honestly can't say I feel one way or the other about it, mostly because there was not enough to go on. Like it looks like it's too long to be just a straight up cameo, but at the same time, it's not enough for him to have a major role.
Yeah.
What I was more concerned about was the hug with Leia.
With Leia and Rey?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's when the feels hit me real hard because it was just
J.J. Abrams said that they used scenes from the from The Last Jedi and from The Force Awakens, and they just went in and digitally put clothes on different people. Like they just changed their clothes digitally.
Yeah, but let's be honest. People have been complaining about the digital, like reconfiguration of people in these new Star Wars movies since the first one. So the part you saw was really, it was well done. It was rendered very well.
Mm-hmm.
But you wonder if the rest is going to be like that because Carrie Fisher's not here anymore to do it, which is a
Yeah.
tragedy in
Mm-hmm.
so many ways.
Yeah.
But you don't want them to mess that up because if Carrie Fisher, her image is like done like badly, it ruins it for the other two movies, even though they came first.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. I'm not gonna deny that. It's you're right about that. So I don't disagree. So moving on in the trailer, shows the Millennium Falcon come out of hyperspace to another new planet. What did you think of the first showing when we see Finn and Poe Dameron? They're on. Looks like they're having trouble piloting that ship that they're on. Like some kind of sand speeder looking thing. So
I thought it was a very good redo of when Leia and Han were on that meteor that turned out to be an alien. And I don't like I said, we don't know how it honestly ends, but it's a really, really good way of firming that relationship they have. Because you don't see a whole lot of Poe in the second movie, and you don't see the relationship that he and Finn have, even though it's a pretty close relationship by what little you see.
yeah,
It's like after they escaped and ran away and took the ship, and then he thought he died, but he didn't die, but he had his coat, and that's how
yeah,
BB-8 found it. You're like, you know what? These two are going to be best friends forever. And then
yeah.
you see like literally nothing of them hanging out, just the two of them. It's always just them reacting to whatever situation they're in.
Yeah, my only complaint about The Last Jedi is it did not really develop anybody's character except Ray's.
And
You know, her,
it didn't
her.
do Ray that well.
Yeah, they didn't do her that well. So, but it tried. It tried to do a Ray and Kylo story in advance, which I thought it did okay on that. It advanced the story, but it didn't advance the arc of the characters, too much.
I
But
disagree with that a little bit, only because you have Kylo going from isolated kid to crazy fanatic to just plain old crazy.
yeah, I agree with that. I don't disagree with that. So speaking of Kylo, next shot is him with his lightsaber tearing into somebody. Somebody was saying they don't understand how that lightsaber works. I'm like, well, those are vents on the side. I can't remember the name of the stone he has. It starts with an F. And I remember the video game Knights of the Old Republic 2. I had that same lightsaber, but it was so heated that you could only hold it for maybe 3 minutes, and then it would burn your hand off. Is what it would say.
Yeah,
So,
that explains the gloves he wears too, because he always wears like gauntlets when he's
yeah.
that sword.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of people complained about this sword, but I always thought of this that lightsaber as like an old-fashioned like medieval sword. So it's the difference between like a rapier and a broadsword. He has a broadsword. Everybody else is using a rapier, and that's fine. That's cool. I mean, he doesn't look big enough to handle a broadsword really well, but I don't know about lasers and lightsabers. Maybe the science is different and it makes it light as a feather.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're right about the weight of it. It's a heavier lightsaber, but it's supposed to it's supposed to be about him having this giant weight on his shoulders, so he carries a heavier lightsaber. That's kind of what it's trying to tell people. Again, it goes over that. I mean, that's just Star Wars lore. I've been around since the '70s, so I understand that. But no, it's I don't.
I'm gonna call shenanigans on that and say that's dumb.
Well,
I'm calling dumb on that. That is just so cerebral that I don't believe that anybody would actually think the audience would think that as a whole. Maybe one or two.
Well, I got it. I understood why he has it, but now I understand what people are saying. That goes over. You have to be. I can say you have to be. It's the lore of Star Wars. You gotta really want to learn that, like the different color of the lightsaber, the orange lightsabers, there's a black saber, a white lightsaber. I mean, it's all out there, and it's just. But yeah, no, we would move on. It's not that big a deal. And then say it showed the fighting and stuff like that. So the end of the trailer shows them on allegedly now Endor. I'm saying allegedly. That is Endor that they're on now. Of course, we've seen Endor. It was just jungle. But like people said, well, it's because you see jungle doesn't mean that they have water. It's got to have a water ecosystem to have jungles that big. So what do you think about the alleged last shot is a broken off piece of the Death Star and them going to it?
Well, I was kind of torn on that one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good way to round out everything. Like, I get why you would want to do it, but it's really going to depend on how it's done and how it's played between the actors and the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Because that could either be really, really cool or really, really corny.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest, Star Wars has gone like very far both ways on several attempts. We're not even going to talk about the episode 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
But
I liked episode 2 and 3. I understand why people couldn't stand episode 1. So
I still like even like episode. The only parts I like about those 1, 2, and 3 is it clearly explains the political intrigue that is involved in going from a democracy to a dictatorship.
Yeah,
that they did well. And
Yeah.
a lot of people don't like that because they're like, oh, it's just a whole bunch of aliens in a Senate meeting. And I'm like, how do you think the world crumbles? It's not wars fought. It's people talking and manipulating things to a point where power is taken.
The way it was given. He didn't really take it.
Power is taken because people think they're giving it to the person who could do the best work. I mean, that's what Julius Caesar did. That's what Augustus Caesar did. I mean, it goes back. It's not a new phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like the beginning, the 1, 2, and 3. Well, no, not really 1, just 2 and 3.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, now people got major problems with number 1. I will say this: I remember there used to be this thing called TV Guide, and and George Lucas. You had that app. Oh my God! So there used to be a magazine called TV Guide, and George Lucas was interviewed in it about episode 1. About this is when he announced there are going to be 3 new movies, and George Lucas said, "quote." Episodes 1, 2, and 3 are going to be like 70% story and 30% action. And he said that he has said that over and over again. And that's exactly what he delivered.
I get that. That makes a lot. That makes sense because episode 1 really does feel like, the first episode of a TV series. They're introducing you to the characters. They're setting the scene.
Yeah.
And then they're building on top of that. Now, granted, they made some poor character choices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they didn't really explain some of the interactions between the Jedis and the Senate and Republic. Because it really seemed like they were at odds while striving for the same thing, but it didn't make sense until episode 3, where you see how the Republic was going and how and what the Jedis were trying to prevent. And it was one of those things, they just didn't I don't know, present it well.
Yeah.
It really just came out as teenage angst.
Yeah, and I thought episode 2, that's what it felt like. Those horrible Twilight movies. They were trying to do their own version of Twilight with Anakin and Padme in episode 2. Now I thought the ending, when they attacked Geonosis, I thought, okay, the third act was really good. The first part of that was garbage. The first act
it really was.
Yeah.
Like the last 30 to 40 minutes of the second movie are the best parts of that movie.
Yeah, the final, the third act. I don't disagree with you on that. So so for me, I'm thinking that that they're gonna have to go get a Sith artifact from that Death Star to complete something. I have no idea what, and we're gonna see the final struggle between good and light. Now, why does it say the rise of Skywalker? Somebody asked me that earlier. I think Skywalker is going to be a house, a Jedi house. It'll be the Jedi Order will now be called the Skywalker Order. I think at the end that Rey will reestablish the Order, but it won't be Jedi. She'll call it Skywalker.
Weird, because from everything I heard, she's not supposed to be a Jedi or a Sith. She's supposed to be in the gray area, because I know they always say like the Sith work in absolutes. That's not the Jedi way, but the Jedi's work in absolutes too.
Yeah, they're dogmatic. Yeah.
So it's like it's either it's good or it's evil. You're either Jedi or Sith, and she's supposed to be walking that middle path like Buddha.
Yeah, well, the Jedi are dogmatic, but they are more centered. They believe the Force is symbiotic. The Sith believe the exact same thing, except they think the Force should be wielded. So that's it. Those are their only two different. But besides that, they're the same. And even like the first artifact that was found, what's the name of that General Akbar? His people found the Dark Star, which was a dark artifact. So the Force has always flowed from darkness first. It's just there was another cult that started to say, well, maybe we don't have to all be wielding it like this, and that's kind of that goes all the way back to the First Republic. You have to read that. It's not just you. People just got to read that book and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, excuse me, I do believe she's a gray Jedi, and so she's going to do a little bit of both. I think she'll.
I mean, that makes perfect sense to me, because her teacher Luke is somebody who was trained as a Jedi, who lived as a Jedi, lost his hand as a Jedi, and he was like, you know what? They have some good ideas, but this is, kind of fracked up. I'm gonna go live in this deserted island with flying adorable things and drink blue milk, and I'm just gonna do me. Yeah. Well, and that's what allowed the dark side to rise, was him being cut off. So I feel like the thing that allowed the dark side to rise was the fact that there was a man-child with too much power, and he wanted to be like his grandfather, who was also kind of a man-child with too much power.
Oh yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. You're right about that. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. That's a definitely different way interpretation of it. Why? Tell you what. Somebody said I'm stumbling through the lore. No, I'm not stumbling through the lore. Y'all are being crazy. All right, guys. But I tell you what, it is 10 o'clock, and I do have to work in the morning, as everybody knows. I told everybody that earlier. So, but I tell you what, we'll go ahead and get on up out of here. Well, Miss Deviant Monica, thanks for coming by and hanging out. And,
time. Next time, give me an actual time and invite, and I'll be here on time.
Well, it looks like you probably were. I did see that. Yeah, and I went a little bit early so that I could run around and get some things done because I knew I had to work in the morning. But all right then, guys, we're gonna get on up out of here. So peace out to Emrys 17 and Jamal Adams and Orcon the Alchemist and Mr. Hanma. I keep on mispronouncing your first name. He's all the way over in Japan, and they all say hi to you. But Miss.
Hi.
Oh, yeah, again, follow her, Deviant Monica. She is on Twitter at Deviant Monica at Twitter, and I'll try to have her back next week at a better time. We'll do it like that. I'll get the time right. So,
Okay.
but all right, guys, thanks for joining us, and peace out.
Later.